Hello and welcome to Gunnar Weiskamp's Web Development. Today, Lesson 14, MVC Part 1 Entity Framework. So today we look at creating a MVC app with Entity Framework using the database first approach. To those people who are new, Entity Framework, to me, as a summarization, it's a process that allows you to connect and create a web app with a database mechanics in one process. It does that in a number of different ways. You can have the database first approach, or you can have the code first approach. There are a few other things within the entity framework, but for me those are the two big main components. So they allow you to create an app with a database in one hit. So today, as mentioned here, we're looking at the database first approach. So that's what we're looking at initially. Right, so if you want to create today's app, I'm using Visual Studio 2013. So just go to File, New Project, as shown here in A, and then here in B, just make sure those items are selected. And down here in C, we just want an empty MVC app as described in the pictures there, so A, B, and C. Okay, so let us have a look. So here we have our empty MVC app, as you can see. So first thing we'll do is we'll add a database. Step one. You just right click there and go to add. SQL Server Database should pop up here, so you can click on that one. We're doing our database structure here is going to be like a student's school application, so we're going to call this school database. Why not? So let's call it that. Normally you always put like database and definitely these sort of components in your app data file. That's a recognized way of doing it. So most programmers, if they look at your code, if they're looking for a database in your app, they'll most necessarily look here in your app data. Saying that, if you have more sophisticated applications which are big in scale, you create some sort of data access layer, which is a more sophisticated way of approach, and gives greater scalability to your app as the database grows. Anyway, I'm sort of sidetracking there. So here we've got our school database, you can see. Over on the left here, you might want to bring up this window here on the left. To get there, I believe you go into View, Server Explorer. If it's not open, there we go. So, yeah, so you can see our school database is over here. In this interface here, you can manipulate certain aspects of your database, e.g. create new tables, create new stored procedures, etc., etc. So if you know something about SQL Server, here in Visual Studio you can actually manipulate your new database. Right. Okay. So we've got a new tables there. You can create new tables. We're just going to go for new query window. While that's coming along. I've got a database script here which is going to do all the magic for us, sort of speed things up. Here we go. Okay, righto. Here's our query window where we can write our SQL in. Make sure it's always connected to this sort of database area here, so we can see that our database is connected there. Okay, so just paste our code in. The first one we can see here, we're just creating our student info table with certain keys, and the main descriptive fields we're adding here is just the full name of the student and the age of the student. Down here in our secondary script, we're just inserting information on this table. Again, age and the full name of the student. Quite simple stuff. So if we just run this one initially. Okay, command, our table is there. Now if we insert our information. So all our information should be there. Can I knock that out yet? So if we do a quick select all students info, if we run that, there we go. We can see all our students with their primary keys here. These are self created information here in our ID field. So we've got all our students here, as you can see. So that's the database created. That's a significant component, obviously. So what we have to do now is add the entity framework, and that's a pretty simple process as well. Normally, this is also put here in the models folder because this entity framework will create, apart from many things, a sort of model of this table here. So we go here to add, and it should be one of these here. So our ADO.NET entity data model. This is the guy you want to choose. So we click on him. Let's name it something descriptive after the database, I guess. School database. Let's name it that as well, so we know what they're connecting with. Now, as you can see here, you've got a few different settings you can choose from. We're doing, as mentioned, entity framework from the database first. That's what we're doing here today. The other main component is this code first model. And I guess the third one would be code first from the database. So today we're just looking at this one, but at some stage I'll get around to these two. But these are the core processes of the entity framework. It allows you to create database apps in certain different manners. So one's the database first, which you can see we've done here, and one's code first. But anyway, let's just keep going with this guy here. It should find our school database MDF here, which it's done. You can see there. When this is ticked, it'll save the connection string straight in our web config file here, which we shall bring up in a minute. And this little piece of string here is quite important as well, which I'll try to describe later on. So just click next. We're going to go for latest entity framework. So next. So we've got, just keep all these items ticked here, and our model namespace important to pick up there. That's going to be our school database model. And here you can see certain different things. In the second tutorial, or part 2 of this, I'm going to explain how to use stored procedures in this. But because we're just getting tables at this stage, we're just going to click on this guy here. So make sure the student info table is selected that we created here. Obviously you can see it's come up. So just click on finish. This might take a couple of seconds. Here we go, it's doing something. So this this entity framework, or the models, will all appear up in this model folders, and you'll see certain references added to a reference folder here as well, and they are related to the entity framework, as you'll see. Yes, sorry, it is doing something right. Okay. There we go, it's doing something. Yay. So, it's a bit strange when you just see nothing happening and you're wondering if it's actually doing something. But it is doing something. once the models is created, we'll have a quick look around in there to sort of explain what's happened. Then we're going to create a controller, the views for that, via the entity framework. And you'll see the power that the entity framework can bring, and you can really make simple, quick applications extremely quickly. Yeah, that's the power of this process, and what I'm demonstrating today is sort of limited in a way for simplistic applications. But if you can use this technique a little bit for bigger, sophisticated applications, but if you do that, it would be good not to put your whole database here in one solution. It's always better to create some sort of other abstract layer. But for small demonstrations or for small applications where you just got a home about contact page or something like that, this sort of approach for the entity framework, it's spot on for that sort of purpose, because normally you could create something in 15 minutes, and if you know about hosting, you could get something done, put up, hosted in probably half an hour, which is, well, maybe not that quick. You'd have to obviously style it a little bit as well, but if you have your styling going and all that sort of stuff, you know, an hour, hour and a half, you'd have a full-blown application. So there we go. We can see that some of these DLLs here have been added. I'm going to assume it's just the entity framework ones here right now, and you can see this file here has been created. So let's just close this one down, and this here holds our table information specifically. You can see the ID, the full name, age here. It's the overall diagram, and here in our models file, let's just close these down a little bit. We can see a number of files have been created, and let's have a quick look around in this one. This file here is quite important, or is it? Okay, I might have clicked on the wrong one. Yeah, so this file here is quite important because this is our DB context item, and this DB context class, so our entities here is inheriting all the wonderful power of the DB context, and he is going to give us a lot of useful functionality which makes our development extremely quickly. It makes everything go extremely quick. We can use the save, insert, create, show details all from this guy within our controller, which I'm going to show in a minute. Here is our student info table that we've got here, also declared in our context class. And this in here should be, this is actually our table, our student info table. You can see into our values in here, which we're going to bring back or update or use within our controller. You can, if you know about data annotations, you can actually just add data annotations in here. So you can easily do this. Data, oh sorry, component model. And then you could say required, so you can use your data annotations here really easy, make the full name required as well. So in many ways it's just like using a normal C# MVC model process. But let's just get rid of that for now. I don't want to cloud our process here too much. I do have a tutorial on data annotation, so if you want to look at that, that'll be great. But so those are our core elements within our EDMX file here, our entity file here. You got your classes and your table classes, and you've got your context. These are the two important things. If you had another table in here, you'd have more tables in here. So going back to this one, he's an important guy. You'll see his connection is put here in our web config file as well. It's made a connection string automatically for you here. So you can see here our connection string to that database is created there automatically, which is school database entities. Oops, let's get rid of that. And school database entities. So These are two heavily related items. If you change that one, make sure you change it everywhere. So they're heavily related. If you're new to this sort of process, you can easily screw these areas up and wonder what goes wrong when you build things. So that's our entity framework somewhat explained. Now next what we're going to do is add actually a controller. Oops, no we're not. We're going to build everything first, because I think we need, after building our models folder here comes into the controller. After we build this, all our models in here, our whole applications will see this folder better. So we've got to build that first, I believe. And then add our controllers. And when we add our controller in a minute with using this entity framework process, you'll see all the code that is generated extremely quickly for you in a 1 minute hit, which will give you some idea of the power of this process. Still building down here, as we can see. Ooh, getting a bit closer, I think. Oh, yeah, build, everything's good. Let's add our controller. Right click, add controller. Now this is an important one. Normally in my other tutorials we do this empty one, but we actually want this one here, controller with views and using the entity framework. So yeah, you'll see in a second what is done by this magical process. It's pretty powerful and pretty cool and pretty quick. So we want our student info, our models. We want this model in here, obviously, this model class in here. And then we want what sort of data context. It's our school database entities. Obviously you can have more than one database entity in here, so make sure you click on the right one. And this has to be ticked, generate views. That's an important one. Let's keep things simple. We've got no jQuery to reference here or script libraries, and I don't want to really use any layout page. I just want to keep the screen really clear and crisp. So let's make sure that's not ticked. Make sure generate views is ticked. And what are we going to call our controller? Student info controller. That sounds a bit better. So let's click add, and this will take a minute or so. Nope, I have no idea why that comes up. It's trying to do something here with this SQL file. It's trying to save something, but just click cancel on that. It's yeah, it's a quirk. So right now the Visual Studio is building all the scaffolding for our controller. And you'll see it creates the basic CRUD application, which is a creation page, a deletion, read page, update page, and delete page. That's what CRUD stands for: create, read, update, and delete. So it'll create all those pages for us, all in the click of a button. And then that's it. Once that's all done, you can just press F5, build the application, and start saving, creating students for your database. That's your website finished. Then you can, obviously you'd have to style it, do a little few other things with it, but technically then you could upload it to your hosting provider. So from a code perspective, as you can see now, this is really good technology for small apps, because it's doing everything for you here. If you're just creating, a simple about, home page, contact me page, that sort of process. Yeah, you can't really go wrong here. Yeah, cancel that. Don't know why that's coming up again. Here it is. So there we go. Pretty quick in a way. You can see over here on our right. Can I get rid of this? Over here on our right, all the views have already been created. We've got our create, our delete, our details, edit, and our index. And they obviously correspond here. So we've got our index there, our details here, our create here. This is our post action for the create, and you can see here in the post action for the create, we've got our validation here. If it's not valid, we return the incorrect information. If it is valid, we create our new student here, all generated by Entity Framework. That's all done. You don't have to do anything with it. And then we've got our edits process here, as you can see, which is over here as well, the view for it. All this code is already done for you. Yeah, lovely, isn't it? And this is our post action for our edits as well. Again, the same as the create. Deletes as well, all there for you. It's post action for the delete as well. And we've got some tidying up here of objects with the dispose as well. Pretty cool, eh? So, yeah, all we've got to do now is build. Okay, I pressed F5, so let's see what's coming up. Oh, let's see if it's coming up. Oh, yep, here we go. So this is our student info. Let me get rid of this for you. So we've got our student info URL here, and obviously this is our index page. And we can see those students that we had there created. Let me bring up, yeah, okay. Let me bring back up that file. Let me make this a bit smaller. We can see our students there, Fred, 18, Mary, Ian, all the ones that we created there as the example. And as we can see here, we've got all our edits, our details action. We might as well click on one. We're going to edit Fred. Let's make him 19. And let's just add a D to his last name, something obvious. Save. And now we can see 19, DD. So that's all pretty easy stuff, isn't it? If we would click on the details, we can see his details there, back to list. All these links here are working straight out of the box. If we click here, delete, we're going to delete Mr. Fred. And you get this backup process. So are you sure you want to delete this? In this case we are. So we're deleting Mr. Fred. And you can see he's gone there. If we want to create new, let's create a user called Rob. Whoops. Yep, Rob, there we go. And he's going to be 22 years old, so Rob 22. And there's our new user, Rob 22 years old. And that's all. Oops, sorry. Let me just, that's all done by the magic of this code that the Entity Framework created for us. All done here, all done without us typing a button, typing a letter in. All our views are here which correspond to what I've just demonstrated to you. So you can see that in certain instances, using this properly, this is a great technology to use if you know it's out there. Okay, whoops. So I hope that was useful for you. please subscribe to my channel or feel free to visit my website at gunnerwisecamp.com. Thank you.